The Great Tribulation is closely tied to the actions of the Antichrist. Daniel 9:26-27 tells us that he will make a covenant for 7 years, but halfway through he will break it, bringing an end to sacrifices and offerings in the rebuilt temple. Revelation 13:1-10 describes more of the beast's actions, confirming that he will be in power for 42 months or 3.5 years. Again, the same time frame as the Great Tribulation. The chapters to come in Revelation provides the most detail about this time. From the moment the beast is revealed in Revelation 13 on a rebellious and unbelieving world, the Antichrist, or the man of sin, will play a significant role during this period. He will rise to power, initially presenting himself as a savior figure, offering solutions to global crises and securing alliances. However, as 2 Thessalonians 2:4 points out, his true intentions will soon emerge, as he will exalt himself over everything that is called God or is worshipped, so that he sets himself up in God's temple, proclaiming himself to be God. This act of defiance will mark him as the ultimate deceiver, leading many away from the truth. His rise is empowered by Satan, as shown in Revelation 13:2, where it states that the dragon, Satan, gives the beast, the Antichrist, his power, his throne, and great authority. This period is not only about judgment, but also about the clash between light and darkness, truth and deception. While the Antichrist may perform signs and wonders to sway the masses, many will be deluded, as 2 Thessalonians 2:10-11 explains, because they refuse to love the truth and so be saved. God, allowing free will, sends a strong delusion so that those who prefer lies over truth may be confirmed in their choice. Paul also indicates that the Antichrist's arrival is tied to a time when lawlessness is already growing in the world, but hasn't reached its full extent. The full revealing of the Antichrist will be held back until a particular restrainer is removed. When that restraint is lifted, the lawless one will come into full power. The lawless one will not be alone, however. We already said he would be fully backed and sponsored by Satan, but there's a third person in the mix. This person is called the false prophet, and our 6th passage talks more about him. Revelation 13:11-14. Then I saw another beast coming out of the earth. It had 2 horns like a lamb, but it spoke like a dragon. It exercised all the authority of the first beast on its behalf, and made the earth and its inhabitants worship the first beast, whose fatal wound had been healed. And it performed great signs, even causing fire to come down from heaven to the earth in full view of the people. Because of the signs it was given power to perform on behalf of the first beast, it deceived the inhabitants of the earth. The vision here describes another beast coming up out of the earth, distinct from the first beast that rises from the sea. This second beast, though called a beast like the first, represents a different type of figure in the story. The second beast comes out of the earth rather than the sea, marking a contrast in origin and perhaps suggesting a more grounded or familiar approach compared to the mysterious and chaotic symbolism of the sea. The first beast, often associated with the Antichrist, appears as a world-dominating figure, while this second beast works in support of the first. This support is seen in how the second beast leads people to worship the first beast, highlighting his subordinate role and making him a follower rather than an independent power. This second beast also has a mild appearance, described as having 2 horns like a lamb. Lambs usually represent gentleness or innocence, but the 2 horns also imply some level of authority, likely in both political and religious areas. The lamb-like look suggests that he will appear harmless or even appealing, possibly using gentleness as a deceptive cover. But, unlike a lamb, he speaks like a dragon, indicating that although he appears mild, his words are deceptive and carry the dark influence of the dragon, which symbolizes Satan. The beast's speech is where his true nature reveals itself, as he will ultimately promote the same agenda as the first beast and the dragon, drawing people away from God. This second beast is later identified as the false prophet, a title that reveals his purpose: to use deception to encourage worship of the first beast and to serve as a voice for the dragon. Together with the dragon and the first beast, this second beast forms an unholy trinity. The dragon imitates the role of God the Father. The first beast represents the Antichrist, and the second beast, the false prophet, reflects an anti-Holy Spirit, creating a perverse mirror of the divine Trinity to deceive humanity. In essence, while he may look gentle, this second beast's voice carries the dragon's message, completing the picture of an end-times deception that looks harmless but is, in reality, working against God's truth. This passage gives us a picture of how the false prophet, the second beast, works alongside the first beast, the Antichrist. The false prophet operates with the same authority as the Antichrist. Empowered by Satan, he possesses significant influence, mirroring the power of the first beast. Revelation 13:12 emphasizes that his mission is to lead humanity into worshipping the Antichrist. It is unclear whether this worship is coerced or if people, amazed by his influence and supernatural acts, will be drawn in willingly. This suggests that people might not initially feel forced, but instead become captivated by the displays of power and authority, choosing to worship out of awe. This deceiving influence is reinforced by signs and wonders, with the false prophet performing miraculous acts, such as calling fire down from heaven. In an echo of the prophet Elijah, these acts seem holy and genuine, further enhancing his credibility. But as John warns, these signs are part of Satan's plan to mislead people, using supernatural events to draw them into worshipping the Antichrist. Many will fall for this deception, not recognizing the source of his power. This false prophet will use his incredible authority specifically to make people worship the Antichrist, whose deadly wound has miraculously healed. This healing amazes people and draws them toward the Antichrist, who is presented as a figure worthy of awe. The false prophet acts almost like a religious leader, guiding people's loyalty and devotion to this figure. To add to the deception, the false prophet performs big, eye-catching signs, like calling fire down from heaven. This kind of miracle would remind people of the prophet Elijah, someone who called down fire in the Old Testament, making the false prophet seem very powerful and almost holy. But these signs are meant to trick people into thinking he's genuine, when in reality he's working under Satan's influence. This supernatural power is all about manipulation. The false prophet also sets up an image, a statue or representation of the Antichrist, calling on everyone to worship it. This image isn't just a lifeless figure, though. It's given breath and even speaks, enforcing loyalty by threatening death to anyone who won't worship it. This mirrors how totalitarian leaders in history forced loyalty through displays of their images everywhere, only this time the image can actually speak and breathe, creating a terrifying effect. Whether through supernatural means or advanced technology, this image becomes a symbol of fear, demanding absolute allegiance. Placing this image in the holy place, as prophesied in books like Daniel and Matthew, is called the abomination of desolation. It's a high offense to God, marking a period of intense judgment on earth. But there's also a time limit to this evil power. The Antichrist and the false prophet can only reign for 42 months, half of the final 7-year period. All people will be required to worship the image of the beast, which is similar to Nebuchadnezzar's golden statue from Daniel 3. Revelation tells us that this image will be extraordinary, even possessing the ability to speak and condemn anyone who refuses to worship. It's possible this image could be something technologically advanced, like a hologram, android, or even a clone, created to be a mouthpiece for the Antichrist and false prophet. This image will be set up as a powerful tool of coercion, compelling people to either worship or face death. Those who resist are threatened with death, while those who comply invoke God's wrath. Revelation 14:9-11 warns of the eternal consequences for those who choose to worship this image, illustrating that the false prophet's deception has lasting and severe repercussions. The entire world will be caught in this web of deception, and those who survive the tribulation will face a challenging choice. The setup here reflects the workings of current false teachers and deceivers, who can be seen as forerunners of this ultimate deception. In a world already conditioned to follow charismatic figures and miraculous signs, these modern deceivers are laying the groundwork for the final apostasy. This is a reminder for believers to remain vigilant and anchored in truth, faithfully proclaiming the gospel of Jesus Christ to rescue others from this coming deception. Together with the false prophet, the Antichrist will erect an economical system that will be nothing like we've ever seen before. According to Revelation, everyone, rich or poor, free or slave, will be marked on their right hand or forehead with a symbol of allegiance. This mark, called charagma in the Greek, has layers of meaning. Traditionally, charagma described a stamp or seal, often used by emperors to brand coins or property as theirs. It could symbolize ownership, a way for the Antichrist to lay claim on all humanity, body and soul. And while some see this mark as symbolic, think about the technology we have today: biometric IDs, microchips, digital currencies. Any of these could enable a literal mark that's practical and enforceable. Yet there's an unsettling twist. The mark of the beast isn't just a system of control. The Antichrist's mark is a dark parody, a satanic knockoff that enslaves rather than saves. Satan, who lacks the power to create, instead copies, twisting divine acts into sinister imitations. This mark, then, is Satan's mockery of God's seal, turning a sacred symbol into a stamp of allegiance to the ultimate counterfeit. Then we come to the infamous 666. This number isn't just random digits, it's packed with meaning. Numbers held deep significance in the ancient world, and 6 was a symbol of human incompleteness. While 7 symbolizes perfection and divine wholeness, 6 is forever one short, symbolizing humanity's eternal flaw without God. So when Revelation repeats 6 3 times, 666, it emphasizes the total inadequacy of this unholy trinity: Satan, the Antichrist, and the false prophet. It's a counterfeit divinity, trying to mimic the real Trinity, yet falling devastatingly short. Some believe 666 links the Antichrist to past tyrants like Nero, an infamous persecutor of early Christians. Others see it as a sign of ultimate human rebellion against God, an endless cycle of falling short without divine grace. This number also reflects the seduction of power. The Antichrist's empire, symbolized by 666, is a kingdom built on human pride and corruption, appealing to the world's desire for power, prosperity, and self-reliance over true faith. As the prophecy unfolds, this mark becomes the gateway into a society where allegiance to the Antichrist is demanded. Refusing the mark means exclusion, unable to buy food, trade, or participate in the economy. This economic enslavement mirrors totalitarian states we've seen in history. These examples offer a chilling preview of the Antichrist's future empire, where loyalty isn't just preferred, it's demanded, enforced by a mark that grants access to the basic necessities of life. Now imagine that on a global scale, and you have the shadow of the Antichrist's empire. So while the mark of the beast may sound like something out of science fiction, the underlying deception is already here. Satan's strategy has always been to imitate and twist what's sacred, and this final system is his ultimate act of mimicry. Dramatic showdown. The beast, along with kings and armies from around the world, gather to wage war against Jesus,